So this is my 2014 Audi A3 3-door 2-litre diesel, which I've completely ripped out and I've replaced it with an Audi Rs3 Dazza 2.5 petrol engine and everything else as well. Chassis, not chassis, subframe, brakes, running gear, gearbox, the lot, even the complete dashboard, wiring loom, everything on this car. Now in this video, we're gonna convert it to a Quattro from a front wheel drive, and also we're gonna go for the first start to make sure this runs in its new chassis. So we're going to crack on with it in today's video, and to get the rear axle off, we need to get the rear bumper off, the wheel arch liners, the brake pipes, disconnect all the electrical system, and also we need to cut out the spare wheel well. Now my brake pipe here runs along the top of the axle, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's just out of shot, but there's little clips on top of the axle that hold the brake pipes in. I have just disconnected them. So when I drop the rear axle, the brake pipe doesn't get stuck and basically end up bending and breaking, because brake pipes are very fragile and I do want these ones intact because otherwise, yeah, I'm in a pickle. So I'm doing without twisting the brake pipe, and that's what we want. That one's free and unclipped, so I can drop the rear axle. So I got my scissor table. The rear axle on this should be pretty simple to drop. There's nothing to it really. We have a hole where a diff would be. I've disconnected my xenon sensor level. I've disconnected the brake pipes you've just seen. There's nothing really else to it. We've now just got our subframe bolts, and I need to undo these shock absorber bolts up there each side. And I did go to town a little bit, and I've just cut the wiring for the ABS sensors both sides because couldn't be asked to unplug it. Pain in the ass, and I don't need them, so I have just cut them off. So that means now everything's unplumbed, and I can just drop the axle down onto my scissor table, and then we should be able to see better about cutting out this boot floor, because you can see how it's in the way. I'll tell a lie, I forgot about these for each side rear arm. There we go. That's like the smallest bolt for a subframe. But now we're good. There we go. She's off. Now I've just got my fuel filling neck up in here. So with the rear of the car now pretty bare, just again our brake pipes, we can see a bit clearly this little brace just after where the coil spring would sit, and it connects to our spare wheel well here. So I'm just now going to grind off all this under seal here just so I can have a clear picture, because you can see where it started coming away, and see if I can just remove the spare wheel well without damaging this, because I don't know if I'm going to have to get a brace that goes across the underneath the new floor pan or not. So I don't want to damage this if I need it. So yeah, I'm going to grind this down, and then I'm probably going to just cut out from under here, just remove this wheel well. I want to get the rear axle, get the fuel tank in, because I want to get it started. So yeah, now cutting around that extra brace part there so we can cut out the rest of the spare wheel well. And then I'm going to look at the Rs3, and we're going to add the brace in the same location that the Rs3 is, which is near the fuel tank brackets. But for now, we just need to get that out so we can test fit our new rear axle. Now it goes to show how similar these chassis are, because obviously we've got our vent system for the Rs3, which the A3 didn't have. All that plugged in here was the wheel arch liner, but we've even got the bracket for this to go in. Now that bracket did absolutely nothing in the A3, and yet it's going to perfectly he says. Oh no, I've got to get rid of this. Wait, I need to replace that with this. So, hooks in. Like that, and there's a hole for the bolt. So I'll go grab that. So I was rather silly in thinking I was actually going to get this finished off in one video because I've just come across some problems, and it's just evident I have a lot of work still to do. Now on the fuel tank, obviously we have our saddle tank because of the prop shaft, and on the old one it's just a smaller one that just sits on the one side. But I have noticed I don't actually have my bracket mounts for the strap for this side of the fuel tank. So we have this little mounting point here for one of the straps, and also it drills into the chassis there for the bolt on the other one. I don't have the hole on this side, which isn't hard to do. We can drill and tap a thread in there, but I don't have a bracket similar to this one on this side, and also my centre bracket here as well. Now the RS3 one is so crumpled up, I won't be able to get this bracket off, so I have had to just order a tank bracket, which is on back order, so I don't actually know how long it's going to be until I can get one of those. So for now I am going to fit the tank just so we can get the car running. And I'll be able to fit one, obviously. I'm just going to have to try and work out a way. I might just put a bungee cord from here and maybe go through where the wiring for the ABS comes out. And also looking at this extra brace that kind of went from here across, I think I may just get bobbin to fabricate one, because I have had a look at the official parts online. And it's really hard to tell exactly what I need. So I think I'm just going to get the rear axle fitted, mock it all up, and then I'll get Bob to fabricate a nice brace to go from one side to the other that's going to sit nicely under the floor pan, the RS3 floor pan, and while he's here he can obviously weld up them new brackets as well. And yeah, I'll be happy then with the structural integrity. It'll be as good as new. So I think I'm just going to get the fuel tank on for now, and the new rear axle, plumb that in kind of, and the aim for this episode is definitely to get the car running. So with the saddle tank now on the jack, I'm just going to jack it into position and put a couple of bolts in, one tank strap one side, and also our fuel nozzle as well. We need to incorporate that into the car's chassis and get that in the right location. Right, so fuel tank is in position, and as I said, it's got the bungee cord holding this side up. I've just had Bob come down and he has taken measurements, and we're basically going to fabricate a brace to go from here all across here, and we're going to integrate the bolt holes for this side strap of the fuel tank, remove this one here and integrate another hole to clamp up the fuel tank, so then that is good. And then we've also got to drill a hole and tap a thread into the chassis for the other tank strap on this side. Annoyingly, I don't want the car stuck on the ramp, so I'm going to have to stick a rear axle on it to get it off the ramp so I can do other bits while I wait for, I think Bob's coming next week. So I am going to just trial fit the rear axle with obviously the Quattro. I'm just going to bolt it in, one bolt each corner, just so we can trial fit, have a look, make sure clearances are all good, make sure there's no other issues, and also that means we can get the car on the ground, roll it back, and start doing some other bits in the boot. Now, I think I said that I was going to keep it stock downpipe, or stock exhaust actually, and just have like a stage 2. So I contacted Scorpion, and they have sent me out a downpipe with a sports cat, very similar to the Skoda Octavia VRS that we've got going on as well. So yes, you may say, why didn't I change the exhaust when the engine was out? Because that would have been so much easier, and I would agree with you. But as I said, I was going to keep it stock, and I've now just changed my mind. So yeah, now I've got to struggle and get the downpipe off and change it for this Scorpion one. But we'll unbox this in a moment. For now, let's just button up this rear axle. So with the rear axle on the scissor lift, I just need to lower the car onto the rear axle and get the bolts lined up so I can bolt them all in. But now I've just had to go and remove the RS3 subframe bolts, because as you can see, look, they are about an inch longer because the subframe, the mountings is just an inch thicker. Now I've got the correct length bolts, so I can get the car onto it and try and pull it down to get the bolts into position to bolt it on. But for some reason, I just cannot get it on. Now, after about 10 minutes of trying to work out why the car won't lower onto the subframe, I've come to the realization that it's actually really simple. My springs are in position, so I'm lowering the car onto the springs, but because there's no weight on the rear end of the car, the springs aren't depressing because there's no weight. So that is why the car is then lifting off the ramp. So I've just deployed a ratchet system. So I've got it on the scissor lift and the car, and I'm just going to ratchet the car basically down to the ground, which will compress my springs enough so I can just get a couple of bolts in. That's the idea anyway. Whether it will actually work or not, I don't know. All it's actually done is move the scissor lift over a little bit, which this is very annoying, I'm not going to lie. I don't think this is going to work. It's too much of an angle. Just well out. Well out. Right, I've managed just to use the gun, hang off the subframe, and I've managed to get these 2 bolts in all the way up tight. So there's nothing else I can do. I need to just go up now. So with those couple of bolts in, I was then able to raise the car up and then use the trolley jack to line the rest of the bolts up and also put my dampers in too. So now that's done, we can get the car back on the ground and get the wheels on. Right, we are now back on the ground, all 4 wheels, and it's quite cool actually. You can see the whole rear subframe, the rear diff, everything. Just look how close it is to the chassis of the car. Right, now the idea is we're going to pull it off the ramp and start working on the rear wiring. Now I did try and get the car started first, but I've just had a thought. I think on the RS3 it had keyless entry and start, whereas this one didn't. So we're going to have to put in some extra sensors, and I believe, I'm going to go check in a moment, but there's some sensors on each bumper corner of the RS3, and I believe that's to do with keyless. It may not be, but the car probably won't start if those sensors aren't plugged in. It may do, but I thought, well, while I'm here, we've got to do the rear wiring, so I'm going to try and start allocating the wiring, getting it all up into the bootlet, disconnecting all the A3 wiring, and then that way, when I connect the battery up and turn the ignition on, it should be seeing all the modules and won't have too much of a hissy fit. But I'm just going to pop out to the RS3 and grab those sensors, and here they are, these 2 little things here. I believe they're just little antennas, and they go on each corner. And miraculously, they haven't been damaged. I think I might have to adjust the bracket on the near side one, but I'm gonna whip those off now and put them on the A3. And then all I've got to do is hopefully the wiring is okay with those. I think it was. When we feed it in, we can plug those in. I don't know if you can see them or not, but as I've said before, we're not only doing a chassis change, we're doing a complete spec change as well. So the spec of the RS3 is completely different to the A3. So we just have to make sure all the control modules are all plumbed in so it recognizes all that extra spec works. For example, the keyless. So now I need to remove the wiring from the old A3 so we can put the new wiring from the RS3 in. So that's now the wiring for the near side out up to the boot lid. I've unplugged it from here just because I can, and also the wiring loom to the boot lid may actually be the same. So before I start ripping it all out, I'm just going to check first. And you may see there, look, I've left the wiring for the speaker, and I've just come down the wiring loom a little bit and just cut the wiring out. The reason I've done that is because obviously in the 5-door, the speaker is in the door. So the wiring's slightly different, whereas it goes into the door connector and then it goes from the door connector into the speaker. So I will have to do a little bit of wiring there to fix that. So that's why I've kind of cut it off, left it there so I can splice it into the loom without obviously going through the door card connector. So I'm now just going to look to see the wiring on this side, see if it's the same as the RS3, and then start to feed it down. Yeah, all this. Alright, so now to try and unjumble all this wiring. Obviously jumbled up. So once it was all unjumbled, I can then reroute it behind this seat well and over the rear wheel well and get it all in position using the correct lugs. So the A3 had a connector to separate the boot wiring loom, but the RS3 loom doesn't have that. It's just straight through. So I don't know why they've done that. Well, that does mean that obviously this is no good. So we're gonna have to take all this out anyway. Yeah, so I'm not sure why the RS3's loom was a complete one piece and the A3's did have a break in it. It was a lot easier to have a break, but I fed the RS3 loom into the boot lid and I just unplugged the A3 one and plugged the RS3 loom in as I went, so everything went in the right place. Now, oh hello, you can just see my arms. Hello? Right, now I've just found something else that I need to do. And obviously saddle tank, we've got 2 pumps on each side, one to pump the fuel from one side to the other. But on this one, obviously we didn't have a saddle tank, so there's a cutout that we need to be able to plug our fuel pump in this side there. So I'm gonna have to get my grinder out now and cut this out so we can attach our fuel pump plugs. So I looked at the other side and looked at the lines that I need to cut out with so my new grommet will fit in perfectly, and yeah, just cut it out. The fuel tank, fuel pump. Howdex can wait, not important. Right, I'm now just going to stick the centre console in just because it will be, well, we need to plug a few things in for it to start anyway. And also it's easier to get this in without seats than it is with. I wondered why that was so easy to fit. Left off me duck. Got me duct that goes to the rear air vent, which I've left. So I'm now going to take it all back off again. Well, I found it was floating around outside. Right, let's try again. Oh, don't tell me I've got to take. Really? I've got to take the gear gator off as well? Nah. I ain't having it. Oh, fine, I'll take it off then. After getting very upset about the fact that I'm having to drop the whole gear linkage just to put my air duct in, I had to do that, but it didn't take too long. I was just getting very upset. Very unnecessary, but once that was done, got the console back in position and just fitted all the buttons that enable me to start the car. Right, so we are making some pretty good progress. All the wiring in the rear is done now, bar this side of the tailgate, because I just realised I don't need it to start the car, and that's what I want to do. So I've just got that to remove. Again, it was split from this side. I could detach it, but on the RS3 loom, it's a complete loom. So I've just got to feed that into the tailgate, and then that is done. All my looms here go into the headlight. So I've got the new loom for the LED headlight. That is all plugged in. I've also got my sensors, which I'm pretty sure are for keyless entry. They are all plugged in as well. The only thing, yeah, just that side. Battery, I've had to adapt my battery regulator. This is probably part of the reason, if you remember, when I got the RS3, started to get it in the workshop, it was starting to misfire and wouldn't run properly. And I think it's because this cable here was snapped, and I know that plays havoc with the voltage it sends to the car if it can't detect a negative. So that was broken, and as you can see, look, I've managed to find the correct cables, and I've just had to lengthen them just so we could plug that in. That goes to my Bang & Olufsen sub, which obviously isn't here. I've had to bypass the pyro fuse because that had blown, so I've just plumbed it straight into the positive terminal. So as soon as I touch that, the car will have power. I've just stuffed all my ABS sensors down into the hole, so they're now just dragging along the floor. A few little things to note. I haven't done the wiring to the headlining yet. Again, I've literally now just plugged in stuff that needs the car to run. Now there's a few things, let me just get in here. Obviously I mentioned about the speaker wiring because it's in the car, not the door, and therefore all the wiring for the speaker is in this loom here, so I need to cut it out of this loom and plumb it in directly to the speaker. I have to also do, I need to lengthen my my seatbelt pre-tension airbag plug here, because obviously it was for a 5-door, the 5-door ended about here, which would have plugged in perfectly, but because it's a 3-door, it's there. So I need to lengthen it by about 7 or 8 inches, so I've got to do that as well. Need to clean up my cutout job here. It wasn't too bad actually, just needs cleaning up, deburring, but the fuel pumps are all plugged in, and same this side with the airbag and the speaker. Otherwise, there's not really much more to add. I'm just going to connect power up now. That should give me, well, power to the car, and then I'm going to just plug the computer in, see what codes we've got, see if there's anything that's going to stop the car from starting. I need to put oil in the car, so we're going to do that, and yeah, well, then we're going to give it a crank. Also need some coolant too. So, moment of truth, let's do it. Straight away, I saw my side lights light up. Very good start. That one doesn't. Not such a good start. It might just be a parking light. We have a dash. Yeah, I think it was just a parking light. Hopefully. Otherwise I've done a terrible wiring job. Well, I mean, it works, but yeah, it was just a parking light, luckily. Right, dash is lighting up. 51,000 miles on the clock, minus 45 degrees, so it's chilly here. And we get an ignition. Beautiful. And loads of flashing warning lights. But we've got power to there as well, so that's all good. I heard the engine activate in some places, so that means we've got power there too. So now I'm just going to connect up diagnostic machine and see what codes we got. Right, so I'm just running through the codes now. Bad news, we have one light out. We've only got 3 of the 4. I mean, I might have left the earth undone, to be fair, because I'll just chuck everything in. Oh, I can't hold this boot up. Where are my earths? Ah, there we go. Yeah, just an earth. I haven't done that main earth up. There we go. There we go. Fixed. The only other thing that doesn't work is this number plate light, and that is because that was one of my wires that had broken in the RS3. But good news is I found the correct wire on the A3 loom, and it has even got this exact same wire colours, so that can easily be fixed. But good news, we're good at the back. So just got the ignition on, run through all the codes. I'm going to have loads of them because obviously battery's been off as well. So let's just clear DTCs. There shouldn't actually be any in the engine. Probably will be actually. There'll probably be ABS related fault code. So let me just jump forward until this is cleared. So we've got ECM, no communication with body control module. That's the concerning one. Although it does say passive sporadic. So, because it definitely should have communication with the BCM. So I'm just going to clear that fault code and reread it. Oh no, I've got even more now. What the hell? Lost communication with BCM. I understand the rest of the exhaust pressure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Cooling fan, possibly, yeah. It's that BCM one which is a concerning one because I've definitely plugged it in. ABS is just, yeah, because I haven't got any of my connections to the rear, because I'm probably going to have to take the whole subframe back off again, so there's no point connecting stuff up. Central electrics, level sensor, yep, not connected. No steering initialization. Data bus, no light, no communication, so there's a light. I mean, I've got various lights unplugged, so crash shut off active. Right, okay, so we need to do a test plan to get rid of that. So there you go, crash shut off. Let's do that. Adjust. Finished correctly, that sounds good to me. So now if we go back, read DTCs. Right, now if we clear them. Right, cool. Right, crash shut off is now gone. Now it's just communication, which is fine because I have many things still unplugged. Now I'm going to go for a crank. The only thing I'm going to say is I haven't heard the fuel pump prime yet. I haven't heard it pump from the tank at all, and I'm now wondering whether it's because I've got my driver's door off. Because normally, when you open a door on an A3, you'll hear the fuel pump prime. So I'm just wondering if it isn't priming because the door's off, and whether that's going to cause an issue when I try to crank it. I don't know if cranking it overrules the door, I don't know. But we're about to find out. Right, I've got to apply some sort of brake pedal to be able to start this, so Let me just put it into, it's in neutrals, just put it in park. Oh, bloody hell. Right. Right, it's now in park. It says it's in park. Let's go for a crank. Oh, right. Straight away. Look at that, it didn't even hesitate. Started straight up. Hello A3, you are now a 2.5 Daza with a little bit of throttle. Right, that's enough for now. I knew it would start straight up. I was very confident. There's no reason why that on the first attempt would not fire straight up, and she did. Buzzing. So really good progress in today's video. The engine runs. Obviously I don't know if it drives yet because I have no brakes, because my brake lines aren't connected, so I can't drive it, but I'm sure the gearbox is fine. There's not really much to do now, and I kind of can see the light at the end of the tunnel. When Bob comes next week to weld up the rear cross beam on the chassis, I can then get the brake pipes installed, fit the Quattro system properly, and then we'll be able to drive the car around. And then, because we've now also done all the rear wiring, there's really not that much left to do. We've got to obviously put the doors back in, and I do need to strip the doors to fit all the folding mirrors from the RS3, etc. Sort out the wiring for the seat belts and the rear speakers. And then it's just the car's going to go off to the body shop to get all the front end parts painted. And obviously we're going to put our new tyres and wheels on as well. So there will be a couple of weeks probably while the car is away at the body shop. So it will be the final video in the next one because, as I said, the light is near. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Buzzing, the car started straight up. And yeah, we are one video away and a couple of weeks from getting this one-of-one 3-door RS3 on the road. Cheers, guys.